Well guys, IELTS listening part 3. IELTS listening part 3 is for multiple choice questions mainly. Out of 3 you have to select one option. Number 1. Number 2, double multiple choice questions. Number 3, matching type of questions. And if you are lucky, then you will get sentence completion in part 3 also. There are some Cambridge tests where in part 3 they have sentence completion, okay? But anyways, cities built by sea. So which city has been built by sea in Pakistan? Karachi. Gwadar. Gwadar is city built by sea, okay? So you should also comment the name of the city built by sea, huh? Want to know that. Anyways, now the whole talk is about cities built by sea. In IELTS listening part 3, there may be up to 4 speakers who are talking. Mainly 3, 1 tutor and 2 students. And students are mostly male female, so that you identify their voice and their name and all that, okay? So in part 3 there'll be a lecture, and it's educational, by the way. Part 4 is always a lecture, and part 3 is also educational. Students are discussing their studies, because you are supposed to study in a foreign country. So that's why IELTS listening part 1 and part 4, they are educational. Part 1 and part 2, they are social. In part 1, you know, mobile number, apartment name, this and that. So that is social, okay? Anyways, let's go on. Now we have cities built by sea. Question number 21, Carla and Rob. What is that? Names. So Carla is male name or female? Male. Oh, we'll wait for that. Okay, yeah. Like you say, Kausar, male or female? Both. It depends. Yeah. Okay, Carla and Rob were surprised. Underline Carla and Rob surprised. And what is surprised? Oh, hi. Okay, so where both were surprised, that will be the answer. If Carla was surprised and Rob says, I was expecting that, will that be the answer? No. If Rob was surprised and Carla says, I knew that already and that's normal, that will not be the answer. Where both were surprised, that will be the answer. Now, what is that? Carla and Rob were surprised to learn about coastal cities. What do they mean by coastal cities? Cities built by sea. You know, we have coastal highway. Highway along the sea. That is called coastal highway. So what were they surprised about? And underline coastal cities. Coastal cities are cities built by sea. Contain nearly half the world's population. Underline half world's population. Now listen, if in the audio they say that coastal cities contain half of the world's population and I didn't know that, that's alarming. And the other person says, me neither. Yeah, it's a surprising factor. Then this can be the right answer. And if they say, well, half of the people live in the cities, and that's not coastal cities only, that's all the cities. Will it be the answer? No, because all the cities. And this option is about coastal cities. Option B, include most of world's largest cities. If in the audio they say most of the largest cities of the world are the cities by sea. Okay, what's the largest city of Pakistan? And where is it? Coastal city. Okay, so you found the answer. Let's go on. Option C, are growing twice as fast as other cities. Means coastal cities are growing as fast as, twice as fast. Twice as fast means double. The speed, the growth rate of coastal cities, that is double the speed of normal cities. Okay. Now again, Carla and Rob were surprised. What was normal for them, that will not be the answer. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to talk to your partner about your presentations on urban planning. You should have done most of the reading now, so I'd like you to share your ideas and talk about the structure of your presentation and what you need to do next.
Okay, Rob, I'm glad we chose quite a specific topic, cities built next to the sea. It made it much easier to find relevant information.
Yeah, and cities are growing so quickly. I mean, we know that more than half the world's population lives in cities now.
Yeah, though that's all cities, not just ones on the coast. But most of the biggest cities are actually built by the sea. I'd not realised that before.
Nor me.
I have not realized that before. What is it? Surprising? Nor me. I have not. So that is what we call surprised. Surprised means I have not realized that before. So which option? B. Now please write a code CAB. What is CAB? This is the arrangement of audio. First they discussed option C, then they discussed option A, and then they discussed option B. Now please listen.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to talk to your partner about your presentations on urban planning. You should have done most of the reading now, so I'd like you to share your ideas and talk about the structure of your presentation and what you need to do next.
Okay, Rob, I'm glad we chose quite a specific topic. Cities built next to the sea. It made it much easier to find relevant information.
Yeah, and cities are growing so quickly.
Cities are growing so quickly. Now listen, what is missing? Comparison. Twice as fast as other cities. Cities are growing quickly, but he didn't mention twice as fast. And for him, it's not surprising. He said cities are growing quickly. It's a normal thing. So C is not the right answer. Now please come to option A.
We know that more than half the world's population lives in cities now.
Yeah, though that's all cities, not just ones on the coast.
Okay, more than half world's population live in the city. She said that's all cities, not the ones on the coast. So option A, contain nearly half the world's population. Coastal cities contain half of the world population? No, cities contain half of the world's population. That's why this is the wrong option as well. Now come to option B.
But most of the biggest cities are actually built by the sea. I'd not realised that before.
Nor me.
Most of the big cities are built by the sea. I have not realized that before, nor me. Okay? So that is surprising. B is the right answer. Question number 22. According to Rob, building coastal cities near to rivers. Now they will talk about coastal cities near to river. There is one river in Lahore. Which one? Ravi. And there is one society on the bank of that river. Gulshan-e-Ravi as well. Okay, Gulshan-e-Ravi is just on the Ravi bank, and Shadra is there as well. Now, according to Rob, building coastal cities near to rivers, option A, may bring pollution to cities. Underline bring pollution. That's it. If they build cities near the rivers, it will bring pollution. Option B, reduce land for agriculture. If you build cities by the river, because most of the land by the river is agriculture land. So reduce land for agriculture. May mean the countryside is spoiled by industry. Underline countryside, spoiled by industry. What is countryside? Villages. Okay, and spoiled by industry. If you build cities by the river, because mostly there are some villages by the river, so you will spoil that. Now, according to Rob, what does it mean? You will listen to Rob carefully. Now for the time being, ignore Carla and listen to Rob.
And what's more, a lot of them are built at places where rivers come out into the sea, but apparently this can be a problem.
Why?
Well, as the city expands, agriculture and industry tend to spread further inland along the rivers, and so agriculture moves even further inland up the river. That's not necessarily a problem, except it means more and more pollutants are discharged into the rivers.
So these are brought downstream to the cities?
Right.
So, A. He talked about B. And after that, that's not necessarily be a problem, but it will discharge more and more pollutants. So, option A may bring pollution to cities. Question number 23. What mistake? Shall I play it again? Okay. It's BA, right? Yeah, they talked about B and then A.
And what's more, a lot of them are built at places where rivers come out into the sea, but apparently this can be a problem.
Why?
Well, as the city expands, agriculture and industry tend to spread further inland along the rivers, and so agriculture moves even further inland up the river. That's not necessarily a problem.
That's not a problem. He talked about industry, he talked about agriculture, and then he said that's not a problem. So they usually deny options after saying that's not a problem, that's not necessary, that's not possible, or we'd considered that, we'd thought, and even then after that there is a wrong answer. And then they talk about?
Except it means more and more pollutants are discharged into the rivers.
More and more pollutants are discharged into the river, that is pollution. Okay, what mistake was made when building water drainage? Underline mistake. Water drainage in Miami. So they made a mistake while building a water drainage in Miami. What was that? Option A, not enough of them. Tell me what is them. Water drainage channels. Water drainage channels. Yeah. Channels more like, what do we call it? Roi Nala, something like that. Yeah, Ganda Nala channel sort of thing. Yeah. That was water drainage. Water drainage, okay, for dirty water maybe. Channels. So option A, there were not enough of them. For example, if they say they needed 1,000 channels there, but they made only 200. So what does it mean? They were not enough of them. Of them means water drainage channels. Option B, they were made. They means water drainage. You should know this thing. Otherwise, you will not understand the question. So they were made of unsuitable material. For example, they say these drainage channels were made of plastic instead of concrete, and the plastic melted, something like that. So it means unsuitable material, plastic. Okay? So underline unsuitable material. Option C, they did not allow. They means water drainage channels did not allow for the effects of climate change. Underline not allow, effects of climate change. And give me another word for climate change. Global warming. In IELTS, whenever they use the word global warming, it means climate change. Whenever they use the word climate change, it means global warming. So if they talk about global warming of these channels, then it is C. If they talk about material, concrete, plastic, then it is B. Alright, now what mistake? Out of 3, we will see what was the mistake in the construction of that.
Did you read that article about Miami on the east coast of the USA?
No.
Well, apparently back in the 1950s, they built channels to drain away the water in case of flooding.
Sounds sensible.
Yeah, they spent quite a lot of money on them, but what they didn't take into account was global warming. So they built the drainage channels too close to sea level, and now sea levels are rising, they're more or less useless. If there's a lot of rain, the water can't run away. There's nowhere for it to go. The whole design was faulty.
See, exactly. The whole design was faulty. They did not consider climate change. Just listen to this part where they mentioned.
Did you read that article about Miami on the east coast of the USA?
No.
Well, apparently back in the 1950s, they built channels to drain away the water in case of flooding.
Sounds sensible.
Yeah, they spent quite a lot of money on them, but what they didn't take into account was global warming.
What they didn't take into account was global warming. Now listen, mistake and didn't take into account. They are similar words, okay? So answer is climate change, option C. Question number 24. What do Rob and Carla think that authorities in Miami should do immediately? Now both of them think and they should do immediately. Now what they say, they should do it next year. Will that be the answer? No. If they say they should do it after 5 years. If they say they should have done it in the past. No. What they say, they should do it quickly. They should do it sooner. They should do it in no time. That will be your answer. So words like that. And what are the actions? Take measures to restore ecosystem. Underline restore ecosystem. Pay for new flood prevention system. Pay and flood prevention system. And option C, stop disposing of waste materials into ocean. Stop disposing waste in oceans. Okay. So what is it that they should do? Immediately. Foreign.
So what are the authorities doing about it now?
I don't know. I did read that they're aiming to stop disposing of wastewater into the ocean over the next 10 years.
But that won't help with flood prevention now, will it?
No, really, they just need to find the money for something to replace the drainage channels in order to protect against flooding now. But in the long term, they need to consider the whole ecosystem.
Right.
In the long term, they need to consider the whole ecosystem. Long term. That is not A. And the audio went like CBA. First they discussed option C, then B, and then A. Now why C is wrong? Stop disposing of waste materials into ocean?
So what are the authorities doing about it now?
I don't know. I did read that they're aiming to stop disposing of wastewater into the ocean over the next 10 years.
Over the next 10 years. That's why it is wrong. Because question is immediately, right? Now come to option B.
But that won't help with flood prevention now, will it?
No, really, they just need to find the money for something to replace the drainage channels in order to protect against flooding now.
In order to protect against the flooding now. Now means immediately and get the money. That is option B. And why C is A is wrong?
But in the long term, they need to consider the whole ecosystem.
In the long term, yeah. Thank goodness. Mashallah, you're active, huh? Good job. Question number 25. What do they agree should be priority for international action? Now underline, they agree, priority for international action. Greater coordination of activities. Underline, greater coordination means countries of the world should work together. Greater coordination. Option B, more sharing of information. Simple. More sharing of information means they should share their reports, data, and all that. And option C, agreement on shared policies. That they have some shared policies and they should agree on that. So, what do they agree? Means Carla and Rob.
Really though, coastal cities can't deal with their problems on their own, can they? I mean, they've got to start acting together at an international level instead of just doing their own thing.
Absolutely. The thing is, everyone knows what the problems are, and environmentalists have a pretty good idea of what we should be doing about them, so they should be able to work together to some extent. But it's going to be a long time before countries come to a decision on what principles they're prepared to abide by.
Yeah, if they ever do.
Okay, what do they agree should be priority? Yeah. Alright, I'll play it again for you. Please listen. Yeah, it's
really though, coastal cities can't deal with their problems on their own, can they? I mean, they've got to start acting together at an international level.
They got to start acting together at an international level. What is that? Greater coordination of activities.
Instead of just doing their own thing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely means they agree. Exactly. Okay. But don't worry. And one thing, you cannot avoid multiple choice questions. If you say, मेरे एग्जाम में तो आना ही नहीं है, जो कहेगा ना मेरे एग्जाम में आना नहीं, उसके एग्जाम में ज़्यादा आएगा. जिसको चुड़ैल से डर लगता है ना, उसकी ज़िंदगी में चुड़ैल आ जाती है शादी के बाद या पहले या जो भी है. ठीक है, तो जिस चीज़ से आप डरेंगे वो चीज़ आपके उतना ही ज़्यादा होगी. वो एक भाई थे, उन्होंने बड़ा ना कहा कि वो इनकी कज़न थी, एक नहीं कज़न होती जो बाजी होती हैं, तो कहते थे जो मर्ज़ी हो जाए, जिधर मर्ज़ी हो जाए, मैं शादी नहीं करूँगा, इसके साथ नहीं करनी. और माशाल्लाह दोनों की शादी को आज कितने साल हो गए? 11-12 साल हो गए तकरीबन. ठीक है, तो जिस चीज़ को इंसान कहते हैं ना मैं अवॉइड करूँगा, नहीं करूँगा, वही चीज़ फिर ज़िंदगी में आ जाती है. तो मल्टीपल चॉइस को अवॉइड नहीं करना, मल्टीपल चॉइस की प्रैक्टिस करनी और इंशाल्लाह हो जाएगा. आपको समझ आ जिस दिन आपको ये पता चल गया ना कि ABC में से रॉन्ग ऑप्शन कौन सा है, उस दिन आपका आंसर ठीक हो जाएगा. ठीक है, क्योंकि जब भी आप किसी आंसर को राइट करते हैं ना, आप रॉन्ग वाले को ही राइट करते हैं. क्यों करते हैं? आपको ये नहीं पता कि राइट कौन सा है, रॉन्ग कौन सा है. और अगेन अगर रोज़ के 2 लिस्टिंग टेस्ट करेंगे ना, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ये चीज़ें आपको पल्ले पड़ना शुरू हो जाएंगी, समझ आनी शुरू हो जाएगी. ठीक है, सो डोंट वरी.